Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about regrets when you're hiring somebody. So let's get into it. Well, today the question in question was, Frederick, what does a regret hire look like? What does it look like? What does a developer that turns out to be a regret for the company look like? Well, that is, it's a fair question, I suppose. It's also a tricky one because it kind of differs. I mean, bias remorse is true in consumers as well as in job providers or managers and stuff like that. But usually it comes down to a few key things, and I will see if I can touch on the most common ones. But just keep this in mind that depending on region, you can get fired for for pretty much anything. But most of the time, it's going to be one of the main things. And usually the main things when you turn out to be a regret for the company is, number one, you do not have what it takes. And what does that mean? Well, it basically comes down to that you are perceived, and this is the thing, perceived, that's the key word here, perceived, because it doesn't matter how good you think you are. It doesn't matter how social you think you are, because the person who's doing the evaluation and making the call whether or not you're good enough is not you. It is your manager. It is your coworkers. It is the environment that you find yourself in. This is one of the reasons why I'm very careful, and I'm trying to warn people about this idea that, all right, I'm just going to study a bunch of computer science questions and interview questions, and then I'm going to get a job. This is the thing that I'm warning you about. If you don't understand that the true challenge isn't to get the interview correct, the true challenge is to actually do the work. Because once you get in, unless you can do the work, you will get fired. For sure you will. And that is not something that you can control. You can fake getting through an interview, but it's extremely difficult for you to fake good work or being productive, being a good person that people can rely on, things of this nature. It is extremely hard to fake something like that. So, with that said, that is the main thing. Usually you don't have what it takes. It very quickly shows. You need you are perceived to need quite a lot of help. You are perceived to be very slow, and you are perceived to create error-prone code. That's usually the trifecta. You can get away with being a little bit asocial or being a little bit shy and things like that. People will overlook that usually because, hey, you're a programmer, so you're kind of almost okay. You're okay in that area. There's so many programmers that have issues with dealing with stakeholders and they're shy and they don't really speak up. So that's usually fine. But what really gets you get you out the door is if you have that trifecta. You're perceived to be unproductive. You're perceived to be you require a lot of resources from other developers. You are relying heavily on other people. You can't work independently. And your work takes a long time, and it's usually full of bugs. These three things are the signs that you don't have what it takes to work in this code base. And the sad part about this, the truly sad part, is that this is fairly common for quite a few people when they start at a new project, depending on the situation. Maybe you are in a new language for the first time in your life. Maybe, because I've worked with seniors who've been working for 10 years that kind of fill all of this trifecta very early on when they start working. So if you're lucky, you will have a company where they understand that the onboarding process is something that is going to have to play out before you make a judgment call on somebody. And that is in of itself fairly unfair in a way as well, because there is not only expectations on how, the average productivity and efficiency that you should provide, but there's also a expectation on how fast you should get there. In other words, are you going to go from here up here, and if you're going to get there, how fast is that going to happen? Because if you are slow even in the onboarding process, you might actually get some looks from people who hired you and they feel like they kind of regret it. And then apart from this, you can also have an extreme personality. You can be a bad culture fit. Such an individual is usually the sort of person who causes disruptions in the workflow. They don't get along with people or things like that. These are the sorts of signs that you are that this company is going to regret, and they basically regret hiring you. And it's also the sort of thing that usually preludes some very serious conversations or actually getting fired. You can think of it as being an ungreased cog in a machinery or a clock where, you know, whoever interacts with you it just doesn't flow smoothly. Like whenever you interact with somebody, it's usually a little bit clinky. It's a little bit, it causes churn, causes discomfort for people around you. And these are very good signs. If you feel that you don't really have a good flow and back and forth with most of your coworkers, or you feel that your stories have, and this is usually the case for juniors, you may feel this all the time, so you don't go too hard on yourself, let somebody else make the call, but you will very quickly, I think at least, notice if you are in the danger zone or like the risk area of this sort of thing happening, because it becomes very clear very quickly if you have what it takes to be in that environment. And you see that this is the kicker with all of this. You may not have what it takes to work in one company, but you may have what it takes to work in another company, even though you have the same level of experience, because it all comes down to the expectations set by that company. Remember what I said. Getting through the interview is just the first part. It doesn't matter if you have every single question correct, because when you get into the company, unless you can fit into that environment and do the work in that environment, you will still get fired. It's the same thing goes for seniors. It's not just juniors here, guys. Seniors may not fit into a specific environment because they are accustomed to working in another fashion. And if they are accustomed to that and they don't have the ability to adapt to the new environment, they will still be someone that the company regrets hiring and might actually fire. Because that is the thing. It doesn't matter what you feel, think, believe, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't matter if you're a master of this framework over here, if we're using this framework over here, because we're not going to rewrite it just for you. That's the thing that developers need to understand. That's what you need to get on board with, because that's what it is, what it means to be a true professional. Being a true professional means that you have the skills to adapt to the business, because you're not there to change every single thing about that company. You're there to help them make money. And sometimes that means helping them out with technical problems, and sometimes that means that you need to adjust to that situation. So what I want you to take away from this is that a regret hire, usually, there are many things that can be considered to be a regret hire, but the main three are usually that, number one, you require a lot of assistance, just in general. It takes a lot of, you are not very good at working as an independent type of person. That's number one. Number two is that your work takes time. It usually are slower than the average person at the company. And trust me when I say this, they measure this. They will measure this. They may not tell you that they are, but every single manager you have will have a rough idea on how long you take when you produce things. So that's something that will be measured. And the last thing is that your work usually has quite a lot of errors, and this comes back to the assistance things. You usually cause bugs, or your code usually doesn't work, or things like that. It's all indicators of the same thing. You are in an environment where you don't really fit in, like you don't really have what it takes to work here. You might get there with some proper training and coaching, and if you're lucky, the company might provide that, but if you're unlucky, they're simply going to fire you. And lastly, you can be a bad culture fit. You may have problems interacting with people in the environment, and that comes back to this whole collaboration thing. And it also very tightly ties into the other three. But yeah, these are usually the sorts of signs that indicate that a person is someone that doesn't fit in at the company. Have a great day.